Welcome to Expat Hoops, where we talk to basketball players who have played pro careers outside of the U.S. Today, we talk to former Southeast Missouri State player Antonius Cleveland, who spent 3 years between the G League and stints in the NBA before moving to the Illawarra Hawks of Australia's NBL this year. Just a reminder that we rely on listener support. Subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking the videos has a big impact. For our audio podcast listeners, it's very similar. Follow and review us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, any major outlet. But now let's get into it with our guest today as he joins us today from Melbourne, where, as we're recording this, the Hawks are about to take on Melbourne United later in the day. Welcome to the pod, Antonius.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, you have a really interesting career. You started at Southeast Missouri State, 4-year starter, Ohio Valley Conference, which is a good, I don't know if I want to say like a lower mid-major or mid-major conference. It's definitely got some talent in it. I think at one point in time, you were one of 4 players actually in the NBA that came from that conference. Racked up a ton of total points, things like that. But you were the first player in Southeast Missouri State's Division I era to ever play in the NBA. What's that like, being somebody that's done something from a Division I school that nobody else has ever done before and played in the NBA?
I think it's kind of dope as I look back. Just knowing that I mean, when you kind of work hard for something, it's kind of like a different feeling to when you actually, achieve that. So looking back, it's pretty dope. I actually kind of forgot that I was the first, because I knew it was a guy named, I think, Bub. I can't remember his name. I don't want to mess his name up. But I know someone kind of played in the NBA, I guess, kind of. I seen his banner or whatnot. But like you said, the Division I era, I think that's pretty dope and pretty cool at the same time. And hopefully I can give guys hope, coming into their school years from now, and they see me do it, and that could kind of, weigh their options and kind of give them a little hope as well and inspire them.
And actually, jumping back a little bit, you have a really interesting backstory of that. You're actually kind of a short guy, and late in high school. Take us through that. I think you were 5'9" or something like that. Your junior year of high school, had a growth spurt, had another, I think somewhere from like junior to senior year, then had another growth spurt senior into college. What was that like? Because as a recruiting cycle goes, you're kind of late in the game, and you're having this, and does that basically play the role into how you wind up at Southeast Missouri State as opposed to possibly elsewhere?
Yeah, that definitely played a big role, man. I was 5'9" my junior year, but I was pretty good at 5'9". I started to battle with knee issues, which was, as I look back, like literally just growing pains. And going into my senior year, I grew to about almost 6'2". And I really became an even better basketball player, honestly. Like defending, I would block more shots and stuff, and I always had long arms. So when I kind of grew those inches, it kind of helped me with my upside. And I finished my senior year at 6'2". I had a couple of junior college offers and a couple of Division II offers, but due to my growth spurt coming late, I kind of only had one good season of basketball. So I decided to go to prep school, because I really didn't want to go to junior college. I knew I was good enough to play Division I. So I had a friend of mine tell me about prep school, because my mom would never help me back when it comes to, like, when you look at kids now where I'm from, you got guys who like reclass and like go back a grade. And my mom was not, like, she wasn't for that. Like, schoolwork came first. So prep school was kind of like the perfect thing. I kind of reclassed to 2013, but at the same time, I still graduated, but I kind of just reclassed kind of. And I went to prep school, and I grew from about 6'2" to about 6'4" in prep school. And that's when I really started to get Division I offers and interest and whatnot. And I got my first offer from Southeast Missouri State. And once I got that first offer, I shut it down. I got that offer in like February. I shut it down because I moved to Georgia for prep school. So I shut it down after my first offer and went and moved back to Memphis. And I said, all I needed was an offer. All I needed was a Division I school to offer me. And all it took was one, and I shut it down and I went home. If I look back, probably shouldn't have did that, but I mean, hey, everything worked out the way it's supposed to. So, went back home. I was about 6'4". Then I grew another 2 inches in college. So, I've been 6'6" since sophomore year of college, pretty much.
you're doing well at Southeast Missouri State, 4-year starter, like we talked about. At what point did you actually think about turning professional and what that would look like? I'm sure it was always a goal to play at the highest levels that you could possibly play at. But at what point did you actually start thinking, okay, I can do this, and how do I go about doing?
Well, my freshman year, my school, we was picked to win it. We was picked to win the OVC that year, and we had a lot of talent. We had like 6 seniors, and I kind of went into college with the mindset of like, I did not want a red shirt. You know, I wanted to play, and so I never really knew how things would go, but you know, I always was on time, just being myself, and I ended up winning the starting position as a freshman. So you know, I would get the pep talks from the seniors and from the coaches, like telling me, man, you got a chance to be good. You have a chance to, you know, make a lot of money playing this game, et cetera. And you know, you always hear those things, but I just felt like you know, it was so far ahead that I never really I wouldn't let the things that I hear like really settle or get to me. I just wanted to just keep working hard and whatnot. But my sophomore season, a guy by the name of Mike Smits, who works with the NBA Draft Express now. We played LMU my sophomore year, and he was at the game. I'm not sure why, because I know he didn't come to see me, but he ended up seeing me. And all I know was after our game, we played Loyal Marymount. I had a pretty good game, and he did an article on me, and basically saying how I was an NBA prospect. And after he did that article, a lot of other people started doing articles as well. And I guess I kind of got a buzz, I guess. So my sophomore year was just me reading articles and stuff from like real NBA pages, not like just some person who's making just blog and giving his opinions. It was like real evaluations from NBA analysts and stuff. And I was like, wow, like maybe I do have a chance. And that's when it started to kind of like click with me then, like, okay, I can do it. Because, you know, going for my junior year, the articles continued, and they had me on like mock drafts and like potential like prospect sleepers and all that. And like, I got the buzz going from my sophomore season to my senior year. And then up to my senior year, the agents started coming. Beginning of my senior year, end of my junior year, like Facebook messages, Twitter messages, guys trying to represent me. And I was just like, wow, like, and I started to have the meetings with my coaches about, you know, agents and all that. And I just was like, man, it's happening. And from that moment on, I kind of was getting myself ready for it, and I had a feeling that I could do it, and I was ready. I was ready to, you know, give it a shot as well.
So between your coaches, what they told you at the time, and what you've gone through now, what sort of advice do you have for somebody that might find themselves in a similar situation where they think they can play professionally, whether it's at home or abroad, in terms of navigating that? Because I'm sure, you know, I'm going to venture a guess it's the first time you've ever dealt with somebody that's an agent before, and you probably heard things all over the map in terms of promising you the moon or realistic expectations. What would your advice be to somebody that's, you know, starting to hear this, or essentially, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself about that experience?
I think personally, I think I handled it well, man. Just the kind of person I am, I'm not quick to just believe anything. You gotta like, I'm kind of realistic with myself, and it's more of like you got to show me before I just believe you. Kind of. I didn't have too many agents promising me things, but I did a good job of staying level-headed. You know, I had this agent telling me this agent telling me this, trying to sound better than this agent, and I did a great job of just focusing on my season, because what I told myself was, let me focus on this season, and you know, come March, these agents will still be here. You know, there's no point in trying to, you know, play good basketball as a senior and be productive, as well as, you know, meet with these agents here and there, and just trying to like bring it all into one. I knew I have a lot of time after the season to make a decision, so I did a good job of staying level-headed, and I also didn't think about it too much, man. I lived in the moment. So I'll tell guys in my position, just to live in the moment. Don't overthink it. Don't overstress it. Everything will work out the way it's supposed to. And just go, as far as finding an agent, I had my mom help me. My mom helped me a lot with it, and I'm kind of like a good people person. You know, I can do well with conversations, and I can kind of read people kind of. And I think I did a pretty good job just doing that as well, just picking the right agent, just asking a lot. I asked a lot of questions as well, a lot of questions, and just kind of just going from there, just narrowing it down, and then just going with your gut feeling about as far as the agents and whatnot. Also doing your homework, asking who does the agent represent. And once he gives you names, reach out to those people. That's what I did. I reached out to some of the people who my agent represented, and just had them ask questions about them. And pretty much they all had good things to say. And yeah, I'll say do your research as well.
I think that's excellent advice. Question though now is it also depends on what you're trying to do with your career. Are you with the same agent?
I'm not. I'm not with the same agent, but the agent that I signed to, my first agent we're good friends, and I talk to him often. I made the change for reasons of my location more so than him as an agent. My agency that I'm with now was based out of the city that I was living in, and this just was a better fit. And I told my agent that it was one of the hardest things I had to do, honestly. But he understood and just wanted me to be, good. And now he's like just like a kind of like a uncle to me. Like I talk to him often. He still calls me, lets me know what I'm doing wrong. And it's not even like he's my agent or my old agent. He's more of just family now. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've kind of discussed on the pod too, is depending on what you want to do with your career. Like, some agents have better relationships overseas or certain countries and things like that. So it's not necessarily that it's a reflection on your old agent. It's just depending on what your career goals at that moment in time are.
Exactly. Any kind of agent that messaged me and was located with like with FIBA, I didn't even talk to him. I knew I had a shot at the NBA, and that was what I was wanting to do. So I also helped narrow it down by any agent that was strictly FIBA. I said no thank you, but I'm focusing on the NBA. So that also helped me as well. Now that I think about that, like I didn't work with any FIBA agents. I didn't message any FIBA agents back.
Yeah, and so that's actually a good point that we get to go back to your first agent. As we mentioned off the top, you did spend time between kind of like we like to call it the G League NBA shuttle. You came out of college and you were undrafted. However, you've caught on with several NBA teams, in particular ones that if you kind of watch basketball, you kind of know what the better organizations are. Like when you take a look at I think it's about 5 or so teams that you'd signed on with. I mean, like the Trailblazers, Oklahoma City is a good organization. Dallas is another good organization. Basically, a lot of the organizations that you were involved with are ones that are good at identifying young talent. So that's actually kind of where I want to go before we get to your overseas stint. You come out of college, you're undrafted, you signed on with an agent. Take us through kind of what that process was like in trying to get started with your NBA G League career.
Yeah, so I went undrafted. I did. I had like 9 pre-draft workouts, and I worked out with Boston. And Boston, from my agent, they gave me a promise at, I think either they had 2 picks. I think at 56 or 59, they took Kadeem Allen out of Arizona, then they took Jabari Bird. And my agent basically was telling me that Boston had a promise for me at like 59 or 56, basically. But it would be like a 2-way contract. So, I kind of told my agent that I wanted to continue to, I only worked out for Boston so far, but I had like 10 other teams wanting to work me out. So I didn't want to shut it down just for Boston. I wanted to work out for all those teams. So I remember telling my agent, like, I don't want that. I want to work out for everyone. Like, I kind of wanted to, like, just show other teams what I could do. That's what I ended up doing. I end up having 2 workouts with Boston, and they didn't take me obviously at 59 or 56, whatever the promise was going to be or whatnot. But my agent told me that he wanted me to go to Golden State. He said the G League team was pretty good, and that it was a good fit for me, as well as just being around, the best team in the NBA and learning a lot and just getting in that organization. So that's what led me to sign with Golden State and go to training camp with them. Before that summer league, I signed a summer league with Portland as well, and had a pretty good summer league. Didn't play the first couple of games, and Pat Connaughton, who plays with the Bucks now, I think he pulled his hamstring, and I was able to, get some minutes and whatnot. And I ended up having a pretty good summer league. Went to the championship and lost to the Lakers, to like Kuzma and Alonzo Ball, their rookie class. And after that, I made a decision to go. That's when we decided to go with Golden State, go to camp with Golden State, and signed to the G League team. And Golden State was a great organization. Walking in there with Steph and KD, fresh out of college, kind of just got me ready to know, like, all right, this is it. Like, this is the best players in the world right here now. So I definitely enjoy going to camp with them. Played one preseason game. Did pretty good, actually, as well, which is also good for my confidence. I had like 10 points in 5 minutes, and then I got cut right after the game because the Warriors was about to go to China to play the Timberwolves, I think, and you don't want to take a lot of guys to China. So they made cuts after the first game, which is kind of not usual, not normal. And I feel like I was cut before the game even started because Steve Kerr was like, wow, I mean, obviously you didn't deserve to get cut, but like I think I was pretty much cut before the game started because I was just like one of the younger guys there. Only two. I think I was the only undrafted rookie on that training camp roster. The other guys was like George Niang, Mike Benajay, guys who had like a couple years under their belt and whatnot. But all in all, it was a good experience. I met some great people and went into a great organization with the Warriors, and I think it helped me get better as well my first couple years out.
And that was one of the organizations we're filming this year. You're basically the day ahead, and it's morning here. As I joked with you off the pod, like the coffee hasn't hit yet. So that was another organization that I meant to say off the top was that the Santa Cruz Warriors are a good organization. So between the Mavericks, the Warriors, and some of the good organizations that you've caught on with, what are kind of like some of the things that you would say they're, comparing, contrasting them, that make them so effective in your opinion? Because you've in 3 years or so that you were between, kind of the G League and the NBA, what are sort of the things that make them unique? Oklahoma City was another one that I said. Is there anything that you could point to that would be a difference between the two or the three of them versus any other organizations that you've actually been a part of?
I think first off, Dallas, Golden State, Oklahoma, they had like all great people, like from the coaches to the training staff, and just from ball boys. Like it just was like a workplace that you could be happy about going to. Like from the security officers that you like see coming through the garage, it just was great people. Maybe all NBA teams are like that. I mean, I don't know, but from those three, it just was the people involved within the organization was just good people, and like kind of just had good vibes, and you felt good about waking up and going into the gym and going into the workplace. Obvious, but one unique thing about Oklahoma City was Russell Westbrook put this rule in to where shirts had to be tucked. And every time you stepped on the floor, your shirt had to be tucked. And that was kind of something that stood out to me because, coming from Oklahoma was my last stop with the NBA. And the other teams didn't do that. And the fact that, Oklahoma wanted every player to do that. Russ was gone also. I think Russ was in D.C. or Houston, whichever. And he wasn't even there anymore. But it was like a tradition and like something that they continued to carry on. And that just says a lot about OKC and like, it's like a culture, like Oklahoma City is a small town. And kind of like me, I was an unknown, undrafted player. So it's just all about putting the work in and doing things the right way. And I just thought that was unique about Oklahoma, just something as simple as your shirt having to be tucked in every time you step on the floor. And just about like blue collar cities, just how they go about, getting better. I thought that was really unique. But all in all three organizations were, top of the line and just great to be a part of. And I was thankful to experience that. And pretty good relationships with at least a couple of people from each organization as well, which says a lot about, the characters of those guys within those, teams and whatnot.
So that's sort of exactly what I was looking for. So very interesting to kind of see like what sort of separates those organizations. Off the pod though, we talked a little bit about kind of like what your future might be, and it kind of takes us a little bit to where you are now. At what point in your NBA G League career did you actually start thinking about, okay, maybe I'll give the overseas game a shot? As you said, just a few minutes ago with the agent talk, that you weren't really interested in talking to anybody that had something to do with FIBA. But when did that kind of change for you?
So my last year with Dallas was the bubble year. It's when we lost to the Clippers in the playoffs. That was the same year that the Lakers won the bubble championship. I wasn't playing, I really wasn't playing at all. And like I said earlier on the podcast, so I'm like a realistic guy, kind of. I don't live in this imaginary world of fantasy, and I just knew that I wasn't really getting in the game. Sure, I was in the NBA, but I didn't really do too much to have a good free agency as far as signing to an NBA team. Of course, I could probably get a training camp or a non-guaranteed or anything like that, but I just kind of I wanted us to take that next step. So I kind of knew it then. However, my agent didn't want me to go. My agent felt as if, COVID's happening. It's going to be a lot of opportunities, whatnot. You should stay put. OKC is calling about you. I think you should, sign with them, play for their G League team and just wait on the opportunity. So I kind of trust my agent, and I was like, okay. But I really wanted to leave right after the 2020 season. I wanted to leave. But I trusted my agent. He wanted me to, stick around one more and whatnot. So I ended up going to the G League with OKC. I signed to the Thunder, and they cut me and sent me to the G League team. And I had a pretty good year, honestly, in the G League. Probably one of my best years out of the three. Shot it well from three, averaged about 16 points, but I didn't get called up. I didn't get called up, or I didn't get signed to an NBA team that season. And I just was like, okay, yeah, I'm out. Nothing you can tell me now. I did what you wanted me to do. I'm out. Let's do this. So yeah, and he also was like, okay. And then that's when we got into the talks and negotiations of started exploring, overseas options and whatnot, and kind of just narrowed it down to the Hawks. The Hawks was like probably the first team that called, I think, or first or second team. And I know it's between the decision was basically between the NBL and Unix in Russia. Thank God I didn't go to Russia with everything that's going on. So I was always familiar with the NBL because, I wanted to go somewhere where they could speak English, and, I have a family, so easier on me, and not just, on me as well, but, on my family, and just, it was perfect, didn't have to adapt too much to the lifestyle with being so far away, but kind of feel like I'm at home, and it just was the perfect fit, honestly, great decision.
You're in wonderful Australia. So like you said, there's not only the aspect of you get to have the comfort of kind of, I don't want to say half going overseas because you're, basically on the other side of the world away from family and everything, but you do kind of get the benefit of speaking, the same language, more or less. There's some slang that is different, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that that's probably got to be an aspect of going over to Australia that's been great for you so far.
Yeah, definitely. So coming out of college, I played a game with Melbourne United. And that's when I first, we don't talk about, I tell people all the time on my team, history classes, we don't talk about Australia. It's just, you talk about American history, that's it. People laugh all the time, but I wasn't expecting Melbourne to speak English when I went with the team and met them in Oklahoma and met everyone. I wasn't expecting them to speak English, and that's when I started to learn about the NBA and learn about Australia. It was like, we speak English. And then it hit me, the crocodile hunter. I thought about him and was like, well, he did speak English. So, but initially, I didn't think about Australia, people speaking English. So about 5 years ago, I just was like, oh, okay. So if I was able to go overseas, Australia would make a lot of sense. Obviously the league wasn't where where it is now, but you could tell it was shifting and growing, and getting better and better and better. So that also went into my decision as well, just knowing that, okay, I played a game with Member United, people were great, and I held conversations with them, and, no language barrier. That also played a big role in my decision as well. Just, I love to talk to people, and I'm a big people person. And I can't fathom how life would be just not being able to communicate with someone. That sounds tough, and I bet it is tough. And this is something I really wasn't looking forward to going through.
And having done this podcast now for a little while, we've talked to people that have had varying experiences. One of the things that makes you pretty unique, not only do you go over to a spot that's pretty, I don't want to call it Australian Americanized, because it's, there's very similar. So for lack of a better term, there's an easy transition. And not only that, leaving out for a second, the legendary coach that you play for, he also happens to be an American as well.
Right. Yeah, Gorge is from, I think he's from California. And that's pretty dope because, he's familiar with the NBA, familiar with a lot of people in the NBA. And he kind of understands, I guess. He knows how it is as an import. He knows how it is to, come from the other side of the world and play basketball versus a coach who can't relate, probably I say Australian coach who's never left Australia. And I just feel like unless you've been in the shoes of your imports, it's kind of hard for you to kind of understand maybe but Gorge, he played in the NBL. He was away from his family on the other side of the world. So I think that makes it a little better. He's more understanding to, our situation versus a local Australian coach who's probably never been outside of his country or whatnot. That's just a small thing, not a major thing, but just something you're thankful for when it comes to your coach. And he can kind of, relate to you, and pretty much he's been in your shoes and kind of done what you're doing, obviously in earlier time and whatnot, back in the 80s or whatnot, whenever he played 90s. But the fact that he did it is, I think that's something that, I think that's kind of a nice thing, and it's kind of important when, being an import and playing for a guy who was also an import at one point in his career as well. I think that's kind of pretty dope, and from an understanding level, the connection level.
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about the things that made it easy for you going over to Australia so far. Were there any difficulties for you? Was also two-part question, I guess I should say. Was this your first time playing outside of the country or going outside of the country, whether it's playing or, traveling? And second of all, were there any difficulties adapting to Australia?
Yeah, this was my first time. Besides, I go to Mexico a lot for vacation. Other than that, I never really just left the States. This was my first time. And the most difficult part was coming by myself and leaving my family. The borders was closed initially when I first signed here. So I had to come by myself. And also the time zone, just the time difference, adjusting to the time zone and the difference, and being able to talk to my loved ones, and just adjusting to that. That was pretty tough. I would go a couple of days without talking to my mom, just because if I can't call her before a practice or before this time, then I can't call her because she's gonna be, she goes to sleep at 9 or 10. So I have to wait till the end of my day to talk to her. And if hopefully I have nothing planned around 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. or anything like that, where I could, get that window to talk to her. So adjusting and stuff like that was, kind of hard. But other than that, man, the transition was kind of smooth. My teammates are pretty cool, my coach, my staff. So I never really just felt too alone, besides when I, would be at home by myself. But whenever I was around, my teammates and staff, it was more like a great, a loving environment. So they kind of helped along the way.
One of the questions we actually had from Reddit. So first of all, a lot of our listeners, if you're listening, we've gotten on Reddit. We're becoming pretty active there. One of the Reddit questions that we have is, how are you liking Australia so far?
I like it. I like it a lot. I could see myself. I'm a big family guy, so I miss my mom, my grandma. So I'll say, if you take away and eliminate those factors, I could definitely stay. I could live here. It's pretty much that comfortable, whatnot. I can live here. I love it that much. As far as the cities, I love Melbourne. I love Sydney. I love Illawarra, Wollongong. So I would kind of probably try to stay close to those cities. Um, yeah, some parts of Australia that I probably wouldn't stay at if I had to choose. But no, nevertheless, it's a great country, and it's great places here also as well. It's a great sight to see as well, with beaches and just the nature as well, and all that. You kind of miss all those things. Just growing up in the city in the States, you don't really see a beach, you don't really see mountains, and just what nature has to offer. So you just sit back and take a look at those things, and just kind of get a little soft spot and stuff like that, I guess.
So also kind of another Reddit question, but also I'm going to adapt it a little bit. Do you plan on staying in the NBL, or what does the future hold for you?
I don't really know what the future holds really. I'm on a 1-year contract. I've never been on a 2-year deal in my pro career. So I've kind of been in this situation probably every year, never knowing what the next year holds. But I can see myself playing in the NBL. I think the league is growing. I have fun. It's a great league. They do a great job of promoting it from the media standpoint to the ESPN contracts. It's definitely a league that you will want to play in. I don't see myself passing up this league unless it's probably NBA or maybe Euro League, but not too many other leagues that I would leave the situation that I'm in for right now. I like it that much, and I enjoy it. So I don't know what the future holds, but yeah, I'm excited about what's to come. So pretty good question.
Yeah. Other question for you is, you're in kind of a battle with the Hawks in this season, doing well. There's, expectations, which you were billed as the final piece of the puzzle for this Hawks team when you signed. Take us through what the rest of the season looks like for you, and what your outlook is as you see it at this point in time, as you're about to face Melbourne. Well, later on in I guess tomorrow for you, but later on in our day.
We're playing pretty good right now. We're like third place, won 9 of our last 11, and we are in third right now. Played number 1 team. We beat them last week. It's kind of like a rematch this week. I want to finish in first place. I know a lot of talk is about making the Final Four to get into the playoffs. I want to be number 1 going to the playoffs, and we're right there. I think we're tied a game behind second and 2 games behind first. So if we win tomorrow, we can be 1 game behind first place, and we play all the teams we kind of want to play as well. So my mindset going into these last 4 or 5 games is just win them all. Don't try to go 3-2 or win a game to clinch to get into the play. I want to win them all, and I want to finish number 1. I don't know the last time the Hawks probably did that, but that's my mindset now. I think it's good for the team to think that way, and I think we're more than capable of doing that. So that's my mindset that I'm kind of rolling with right now, going into these last few games, and especially heading to tomorrow. I want to win them all.
Thank you again for sitting down with us, Antonius. We're going to get into some more extras, but I think that's everything we have for you in the regular pod. Make sure you guys tune in. You can watch the Hawks on YouTube. A lot of the games get streamed live, and we usually promote those. So please follow along, subscribe to us, and we will certainly promote that. But again, thank you so much for sitting down with us, Antonius.
Thanks for having me, man. Thank you.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here, so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.